Reality is, software development is a difficult skill to pick up for a lot of people, but it's a difficult skill to maintain as well. The truth is, the moment you write your very first Hello World program, you're introduced into the world of gods. Once those magical 2 words appear on your screen, you get a little bit of a thrill. Then you get introduced into for loops, while loops, all the different bits and bobs that make up a programming language, and after a while, you get this feeling that you can tell your computer to do absolutely anything. But that comes at a cost. It's overwhelming, so much to learn, so much to do. There's rarely ever a single answer for any given problem. You might become proficient at coding itself, but that's only one small portion of the battle. Software architecture, requirements gathering, problem solving, all these different skills are needed when you're working on a project, and yet they're so much more difficult to quantify and learn than the actual coding itself. Let's talk about motivation. A lot of beginners quit before they try to make their first program on their own, and people even more experienced in the industry find themselves picking up and dropping projects every week like it's a replacement for Taco Tuesday. Why is this? Why do we never seem to have the energy to make what we want, even though it feels like we can, that maybe given more effort we could make something and wow the world? Somewhere along the way we lose that motivation. I'd like to hear about your comments, either below this video or on my Discord server, as to what your hurdle is. If you're having trouble motivating yourself to make what you want to make, why is that? Now I'll be honest, every time I work on a feature that I have absolutely no clue how to tackle, it takes me all my willpower to not throw in the towel and give up on the spot. It's overwhelming to be thrown in the deep end where you don't have the skills and you don't have the knowledge to make something. But let me tell you this. If you want to make anything code related, and this even applies to some aspects of life too, you're going to run into this situation a lot, and a good software engineer is one that is able to approach that situation and come out on top. Here's the reason this video is a few days late. I myself lost motivation this week, but I overcame that situation. Let me tell you about how I dipped my toes for the first time into procedural level generation. My week started off very normally. Monday rolled around, and after work I figured, hey, level generation would be a pretty neat idea for my game, and promptly did nothing past that. Tuesday came by, and after work I said to myself, okay, I should implement this. So I watched some videos on level generation, and I was promptly overwhelmed by all the information. Minimum spanning trees, random walk algorithms, binary partitioning. Okay, it's a lot to process, but I think I understand the theory now. Wednesday. I didn't even touch anything to do with level generation today. I looked in my codebase, decided my efforts would be best spent tweaking lighting sliders, and drawing a baby cockroach sprite. And this was the beginning of my downward motivation spiral. On Thursday, I went back to rewatch some of the videos that I'd watched on Tuesday, but I didn't write a single line of code. Finally, Friday rolled around, and I didn't even work on my game at all. On a completely unrelated note, in the weekend I went rock climbing, which is super duper fun. I felt like Spider-Man climbing around on these walls, at least until my arm strength reduced to that of overcooked spaghetti. Even now, I can barely pick up my phone without dropping it 50% of the time. So what was the problem this week? Why didn't I write a single ounce of relevant code for the feature I wanted to finish? Well, truth was, I was highly unmotivated. Why put myself in the scary situation of writing code for something I've never implemented before, when I can fix random bugs and sit in bed and watch YouTube videos? So when Monday the following week rolled around, I kicked myself into gear and got it all done in 2 days. How did I do this? Well, lesson number 1. Make use of the tools you have available to you. We live in an era where you can type something into Google, or Bing if you're an absolute nutter, and scan the whole world for knowledge on the subject. Unity especially has a gajillion other developers on Unity forums, on Stack Overflow, all seeking answers, probably for the problem that you yourself are having at this very moment. So what I was doing in the week was a good first step in that I googled resources on level generation. I watched some videos. These were the tools that I had available to me, but I didn't make good use of them. The guy in the video even encouraged I code along with his tutorials, which I didn't do. I should have been engaging properly by writing code, even if I was terrified of touching my codebase. I mean, that's why version control exists anyways. If I muck something up doing experimentation or whatever, I can always just go back to a previous version of my code to revert it. And let me tell you, forcing myself to do something rather than nothing did wonders. I started off by completely copy-pasting the code provided in the series I was watching, but not soon after I was finding ways to optimize, to organize the code in a way that suited me. I'd never have even begun to think about solving the problem if I didn't start engaging in it. That brings me to my second lesson. Learn smarter. It's all well and good to follow tutorials and watch videos mindlessly, but you'll find yourself not maximizing the use of your time when you're learning that way. The best way I found to learn smarter is to question yourself. Question the resources you're learning from. Why are we writing code like this? Is there a better way? Can I try to do things in that better way? The step is also better with a buddy. It's said that teaching others about a subject is one of the best ways to learn for yourself. Your buddy doesn't even have to be alive. This technique is called rubber ducking.
I was having some trouble with this legacy code.
Personally, I have Saruman from The Lord of the Rings on my desk to judge me as I code. Let me give you an example. The rendering of tiles. Placing tiles down. If you want them to look dynamic and smooth, it isn't as simple as just putting tiles wherever you want. You know, a floor tile where there is floor, or a wall tile where there is wall. For better visual results, you need to look at neighboring tiles before you place a tile, so you can select a matching tile texture. For example, if there's another floor tile north of this tile, but wall tiles east, west, and south of it, I'd want a texture that extends upwards but looks closed off on the other sides. Following the tutorial, I ended up writing code manually to meticulously check every tile before I place it, where I generate a bit mask based on the surrounding tiles and feed that into a large switch statement. I questioned this implementation heavily. No way a solution doesn't already exist for this. Surely there's a way I can do this without writing a single line of code like paint tile or something, and it will automatically know what tile to choose. So I messaged the Discord, hint hint, join my Discord, and lo and behold, someone volunteered their knowledge. Turns out, Unity has this thing called rule tiles, where you can store a certain set of rules to follow on what tiles to select when placing a single rule tile. Granted, it was annoying to set up, but it cut out like 100 lines of code that I had written over the course of 3 hours. For future projects, that's 3 hours saved if I wanted to implement this again. Not only that, rule tiles provide even more time-saving benefits, because it's a robust system that already exists and works if I wanted to have a different tile set. If I had blindly followed the tutorial, my code would have been messier and thus more unmaintainable, but instead I learned about a new Unity feature and made my code better for future development, all because I engaged and questioned myself while I was learning. And those are the 2 lessons I have on my process for learning. 1. Make use of the tools that you have available to you, and 2. Learn smarter. There's usually a lot more to it, but hopefully that little spiel brought people some value. So after a whole bunch of coding, let me show you how the world gen actually works. It's all driven by a nice little algorithm called the random walk algorithm. It's dead simple. You start somewhere, you pick a random direction, you move to that direction, rinse and repeat. The length of the walk, and how many times you do this walk, can be configured to give you some unique looking room generation. If you just do the walk once, and for a long distance, that's how you get a corridor. What I do is I generate multiple corridors, store the positions where those corridors start and end, and create a room on each of those start and end spots randomly. Combine that with randomly picking some tiles to spawn cockroaches and fireflies, I get basic generation of a dungeon. Here's what the dungeon generation looks like now. Thanks for watching, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.